Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us here on Front Row Politics on Control TV. I am Gimba Umar. We at we in Nigeria, rather, may be at a crossroad, as a matter of fact, concerning the expected planned nationwide hunger protest that is expected to happen on the 1st of August. This is stemming from what the youths regard as bad governance, lack of social justice, and inequality in Nigeria. The hunger, they say, is biting hard, harder than it will, harder than it can ever get at this time in the nation's history. Well, joining us is Mr. Andrew Ame. He believes that he is not a rights activist, but rather a concerned Nigerian. Am I getting that right, our guest, Mr. Ame?
Yes, very correct. You're very correct, Mr. Gemba. It's my pleasure to be here. I always refer to myself as a very concerned Nigerian, yeah.
Even though we know that you were one of the front runners during the NSAS protests. Is that also correct?
Yes, the entire protest, as you may recall, was almost all about all of us as youths, coming together to say that enough is enough of the brutality we were facing as at the time in the hands of police and other related security agencies.
Okay, let's set the ball rolling, Mr. Ahmed, by first of all asking you this very critical question. Do you think that it is absolutely necessary for the youths, people like you, to go out on the 1st of August to protest concerning this hunger that you say has already taken over Nigeria, in comparative analysis to your experiences during the NSAS protest? Do you think it's a wise step? Is it a wise action for you to go on protest right now?
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Gimbal. If you asked me, the protest is long overdue. Overdue in the sense that if it wasn't for the entire protest that happened, which brought all of us to a caution table, and we're trying to see an alternative means, to resolve issues in order for us not to go through same process of NSAS protesting and making our voice heard. We intend or wanted and hope that the federal government of Nigeria would have learned from, the ugly incident of NSAS and try to be proactive, in a protest. But the protest itself is overdue, long overdue, not necessarily because of this government, but it's an accumulated, what I will call, I'm trying to be very careful with my words now, what I will call an unmindful policies as regard the situation and the affairs of the citizens. And as youth, we are usually at the receiving end of most of these issues. And it was always going to be a question of time that the youth will hit the streets, and I will take it a little bit further. It is funny when the federal government of Nigeria is trying to look for sponsors or who is the headliner or who is the front runner of this protest. We have a unifying calling factor, bringing the youth together for a protest such as this. And one of the major unifying factor is hunger. I wouldn't just say hardship. Hardship has different kinds of forms it comes. But hunger in the land, and I spoke to some few persons some days ago.
I mean, that's where the confusion really comes through. Because first of all, the youth said it was they had it on social media calling it "End Bad Governance in Nigeria" hashtag "End Bad Governance in Nigeria," and that also soon metamorphosed to hunger protest, and then it metamorphosed again to hardship protest. That really is confusing everybody, because for you to be successful in any kind of protest at any time T given to you, it must be clearly defined. Say, for instance, when we had the fuel increases protest in 2013, when we also had it in 2016. All those were defined. Do you think the lack of definition of the exact thing that you as youths want is an impediment to the whole entire process of this protest that you're embarking on?
Yes, the name of the protest, I'm sure is not in question, is not a bone of contention, you know. Um, and bad governance, like I said, is not necessarily about only this administration. And that is what I was trying to point out earlier. And I said it's an accumulation, of poor policy, poor governance that has built to this level. And even if you look at the body language of the current administration, they will tell you, come, they inherited a very bad government, they inherited a rotten system, and they are trying to stabilize it. And we're asking, when, how, when will you get out of all this? And have a government that takes responsibility and say, you know what, we're on top of the situation. This is where we are. This is when we will get to where we want to be. This is the roadmap to where we are going. When we are going to get to where we want to be. So yes, if the theme is end bad governance, I think it's fair to everyone concerned at this moment, Mr. Gimba.
I'm really asking that because if you were to narrow it to the nitty gritty, this government is just about a year in office, and this upheaval or looming upheaval, for lack of a better word, is coming on the 1st of August. The government is already listening. The president, as a matter of fact, just a few days ago, said to Nigerians that he listens and he hears our cry. Mr. Ahmed, the efforts that the government is making now, is it not enough to calm frayed nerves? For instance, the government has been able to introduce this CNG technology that will, replace or make it easier on Nigerians to fill up their cars to move from one place to the other. They also have the student loan scheme, which makes education accessible such that they are able to pay for their education without any stress. They also have the agricultural revolution program on the way. They also have this 20 trucks of rice, 20 trailers of rice, as a matter of fact. And each trailer has about 600 bags, 20 each to each state, including the FCT. And just today, again, to add to that, they have also released 10 trucks each, 10 trailers each to every state, including the FCT, of 50 kg rice to be sold at 40,000 naira for Nigerians. Are the efforts of this government not convincing enough or not prompting you enough to hold back your arsenals as youths? Can you hear me? Oh, yeah, okay. For a second or two, we seem to have lost that connectivity with. Okay, Andrew, are you back?
Yes, I'm back.
Okay, did you hear my last question? Did you hear my question?
Yes, what I got before the disconnection was the efforts of the government as regards education, agriculture, and most recently the disbursement of some truckloads of rice. Did I get that correct?
Yes, absolutely. What
Okay.
are your views to that? Are those not
Thank you,
enough to
Mr.
just
Gilman.
calm frayed nerves, just so that we give a little more chance to this government?
So, unfortunately, I think I would have, I would have I would have appreciated a situation where this would have been a proactive measures of the government, knowing that I don't see any politician in Nigeria that does not appreciate the level of hardship going on. I don't. No matter how far they are from the people, I'm sure they have relatives, workers, what have you, and they should have known this even way earlier. And a situation like this, when the youth have come together unanimously, overwhelmingly in every state of the federation, saying, you know what, on this date, we are going to protest to make our voice more audible. Perhaps they are not hearing from our body language and our yearnings on the social media. We will come to the street to demonstrate, and the government all of a sudden begin to know and identify solutions and begin to act almost immediately, unlike before, where it's more of promises and promises. Yes, it's a commendable approach from the government, but on my view, my point of view, I think it's slightly a little bit too late. One, because the protest itself does not have, like I said, a single front runner. So it's not somebody that called them come to the street and the same person will say, you know what, go back home. That's number one. Number two, we are talking about sending rice to states and all, and it's all over social media, I must tell you. And before I came on air, I tried to get access to one of these rights, just so much so that I will be able to talk to you evidently what I'm about to say. And I tell you, we could not get any. I call few persons, okay, if you go to the market, are you sure you can get 1,000 naira? And the response I got was they could not get a bag of rice for that amount. So yes, it's still the issue of the trust and transparency, how this will actually get to the last man that knows no one and connects to no one, how this will become an actual market value price to the last person. A bag of rice was way above that price, above the minimum wage. And now we are seeing that by the government intervention, it might be maybe half or slightly close to half price of what it used to be. It is commendable. The question is how long? What is this really sustainable, or this is just a desperate approach from the federal government of Nigeria to quell the protest that is almost ongoing? We talk about the student loan. Of course, I'm no longer a student, but I am very, very much connected and close to students, and I know what it takes and how it's been a struggle for a lot of them to get access to these loans. We also do not see transparency, like I said. We do not see Mr. Gimba, we can beat around this for the whole day. The problem and the truth with Nigeria is it does not matter the intention, good or bad, of the government. The problem is usually the corruption and the bottleneck that is round about every policy made to the common man. So we want to see a situation where when you pass a law or take an initiative, there is an accurate supervision, transparency, and ensure that it gets to the last man. I am a partial farmer in my place, and I know what it takes to get a bag of fertilizer. When you hear that the government released 50 trucks of fertilizer.
Okay, hold on. If I may just interject, my apologies, Mr. Ambe. What policies, in your view, would you like to see change immediately? Okay, a little bit of a freeze there, but not to worry. He'll join us as quickly as he can. But we're looking at the hardship protest expected to happen on August the 1st, as the youths are, gearing up for this all-inclusive state-to-state protest across the country. The federal government is already asking the youths to give it a little more time, to be patient with this administration, because some palliatives have already been sent out talking about those bags of rice. The latest being today, where the bags of rice were sent out to all the states in the federation, including the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. 10 trucks rather, 10 trailers of rice, 50 kg, to markets where it could be sold for 40,000 naira, which is the peg that the federal government has set for this to happen. But apart from that, there are other measures that the federal government is already putting in place to ensure that this hardship is not felt so much for Nigerians. For instance, they have also done this program where vehicles are able to convert from petrol to gas through the CNG technology, which is applicable just about everywhere. It's been used in Germany, the big economies in the world. Perhaps this is a time for Nigeria to also look into that with a view to bringing it in. So we have Ame back. Ame, can you hear me now? Ame?
Yes, I can hear you. I'm
Okay,
sorry,
please
I don't know, the
continue with your
network
trail of
situation has
thoughts.
been a bit down.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you, Mr. Gimbo.
Okay, now let me ask you very quickly, Andrew. What must be done to avoid what you experienced during NSAS in terms of shops being looted, businesses being destroyed, and all of that? What must be done to avert a recurrence?
Thank you very much, Mr. Gimbo. Security protection. You know, I can categorically tell you here, especially the areas I'm involved as regards NSAS.
Okay. Okay. All right. We seem to be having a challenge with the network. We've been speaking to Mr. Andrew Ame. He prefers to be referred to as a concerned Nigeria ahead of the August 1st protests that has been expected, the hunger protest. Nigerians are indeed hungry. Mr. President may be listening to the cry of the youth saying that we can no longer be in perpetual hunger as we are now, even as the government is making attempts to, ameliorate the sufferings of Nigerians. Mr. Ahmed, I hope that this network will allow you to speak to us freely. But as I did ask you, what must be done to avert destruction of lives and property? Mr. Ahmed, are you there? Okay, it seems to suggest that the networks are not allowing us to function properly, and of course that is another bane in Nigeria today when the networks begin to play games with you and your connectivity. But I'm afraid that's where we're going to have to let it rest. We'll come your way as quickly as possible here on Front Row Politics on Control TV. Do subscribe to our platform just so that you're able to get the latest stories. We will be covering the protest, if any, live for you to have a feel of what is happening in town, especially here in Lagos State. But for now, we'll have to call it draw the curtains. I am Gimba Umar, and bye for now.